Hi, everybody, and thank you for joining us today for the Action for Healthy Kids webinar titled Keep Moving Physical Activity in Schools. I wanted to introduce myself. I'm going to be presenting today. My name is Hannah Laughlin. I'm the Senior Field Manager here at Action for Healthy Kids. And I'm going to be joined a little bit later on today by Pam Powers, who's the Senior Manager, Physical Education and Physical Activity for Let's Move Active Schools. My Action for Healthy Kids coworker Heidi Milby is also joining us on the call today, and we'll be answering questions through the question box, which I'll tell you a little bit more about on the next slide, as well as directing questions to us at the end. Everyone is called into our technology today and is seeing our screen through the technology GoToWebinar. You are all muted, so if you have a question, if you could please submit the question in the chat box, that's the best way to do that. You're probably seeing a control panel at the top right-hand side of your screen. At the bottom of that control panel is a questions box. When you enter that question there, we will respond back to you in kind of a chat format, or we'll hold it to the end where Heidi will answer questions to us out loud. This call is being recorded today, so no need to scramble around and take notes. We'll send you links to resources, the recording, and also various handouts that you have them for the future. So I wanted to get started today by just telling you a little bit more about Action for Healthy Kids. Action for Healthy Kids' vision is a world in which every child is healthy, active, and ready to learn. A little bit of background for you. Our organization was started in 2002 by the former Surgeon General, Dr. David Satcher, and we're really an organization that works to fight childhood obesity and promote healthy eating and physical activity in schools. We're a network of moms, dads, teachers, students, schools, and community and school wellness leaders that are banding together to create healthy environments for children to learn. Action for Healthy Kids works to mobilize school professionals, families, and communities to take actions that lead to healthy eating, physical activity, and healthier schools where kids thrive. We believe that everyone has a role to play in ending the nation's obesity epidemic. Using our network of over 100,000 members, we help to share resources, programs, and tools that make healthy schools possible. At Action for Healthy Kids, we help members and support schools by using a three-step process: learn, act, transform. We help to allow our members and supporters to learn about the issue, take action in schools, and then work to transform their school cultures. For today's webinar, our objectives are to learn why physical activity matters, act to get moving at your school, including trends in physical activity and ways to get students in your building moving more. And then we'll hear more about the Let's Move Active Schools program. We're hoping that this helps you transform your school's physical activity initiatives and your comprehensive physical activity approach. When we're talking about trends in physical activity in schools today, we're going to talk about the following topics: comprehensive school physical activity plans, physical education, active recess, both indoor and outdoor since it is February, classroom energizers, which are also known as brain breaks, walk and bike to school initiatives, collaborations, and then the importance of wellness policies. So the CDC recommends that kids get at least 60 minutes of physical activity a day. At Action for Healthy Kids, we work with schools across the country to make sure that schools are providing at least 30, if not 60, of those minutes while children are in their building. And the reason we do that is we know that physical activity has a positive impact on academic achievement. We know that increased physical activity leads to more focused classroom behaviors, improved mathematics, reading, and writing skills. Physical activity is fuel for the brain, not just the body, as some people think. Physical activity helps the brain by increasing learning ability, increasing attentiveness, and increasing the level of engagement of students. And on the flip side, it also decreases behavioral issues and absenteeism, which are things that are both very important to schools. Throughout this presentation, I'm going to be using two terms often, physical activity and physical education, or PE. And it's important to understand that these terms are not interchangeable. Physical education is a class where students learn the benefits, skills, trainings, principles, and other things of physical activity. For example, during a basketball unit in PE, students spend time learning the rules of the game and practicing skills specific to that sport, such as shooting or passing. We're going to be talking more about what makes up a quality PE program and advocating for PE in your school district a little bit more. But I also wanted to point out that Shape America, which is the national organization very focused on PE, has great resources that you can look into and share. A recent study published by the American Journal of Preventive Medicine found that instituting daily PE classes boosts children's moderate to vigorous physical activity by 23 minutes a day. And that's more than 1/3 of those 60 recommended minutes for children daily. So PE is a really important part of children's physical activity at school. Physical activity, on the other hand, is anything that gets your body moving. Walking, biking, sports, dancing, even cleaning the house. In addition to PE classes, schools can provide physical activity time at recess, with fitness breaks or classroom energizers throughout the school day, through classroom learning that incorporates physical activity, and before and after school programming, and field trips or events that focus on physical activity, or by establishing walk and biking to school programs. All of these programs can be added up to make up your school's comprehensive school physical activity plan. Comprehensive what? I said comprehensive school physical activity plan. The components of a comprehensive school physical activity plan are high-quality physical education, physical activity during school, physical activity before and after school, staff involvement, and family and community involvement. Throughout our presentation today, we're going to talk about PE, physical activity during school, and then family and community engagement, which are three really critical pieces of the comprehensive school physical activity plan that you can implement during the school day at your school. So first, let's talk about high-quality physical education. A high-quality physical education program and curriculum can and should be the base of all physical activity in your school. We want to make sure that physical education is where students are learning the skills to be physically active, and they're being practiced across the school day through other school-based physical activity options. Over the last several years, we've seen a really important shift in physical education in general in schools, but especially at the middle and high school level. PE has really been moving away from team-specific sports units like basketball and volleyball, for example, and really has been moving more towards fitness-based units such as yoga, resistance training, and cardio. This doesn't mean that schools are not teaching sports-specific units anymore, but it also means that they're giving students more opportunities to learn lifetime fitness activities. In addition, schools are oftentimes integrating kind of new lifetime fitness activities that have been more traditionally focused on community centers or physical activity opportunities outside of the school day, such as pinball, spikeball, pickleball, and disc golf. This transition, moving away from team sports to fitness-based PE, has been supported by Shape America and other national physical education experts. So if your school is interested in making that move or changing up your PE system, your PE program a little bit, what do you need? The most popular category of physical education equipment is still the ball. Playground balls, foam balls, soccer balls, basketballs, really not that big of a surprise when you think about being physically active, that balls are a popular item. But with more states and districts requiring or implementing fitness testing as they start to think more about school health and wellness, equipment needs in the PE department have changed a little bit. Equipment such as flexibility testers, pedometers, curl-up strips, and the FitnessGram software to help analyze those fitness testing information has really grown. FitnessGram software is not only used to analyze the data, but can also help students set individual goals based on test results. So they're all really important items that you should have in your PE closet or arsenal. It's really a good idea to also check out OPEN, which is the online PE network, which is an online free curriculum that was designed to ensure academic rigor in PE classrooms. It's a network of PE teachers across the country who share ideas and information related to PE and PE curriculum. So if you're talking just about PE in schools when you talk about your physical activity program, we really need to start to expand that definition so that your school thinks about physical activity across the board and not only just in PE. But we hear a lot of times from schools that that's really hard to do because of some common barriers that they come across, including those that you see listed here. Time and scheduling constraints, financial burden, teacher support, statewide testing, and low attendance of students at physical activity events. We want to today present some trends in physical activity to you to help to see if we can help you overcome these barriers and really help you figure out how to make sure that none of these stop you from getting your kids moving and preparing them to be better, preparing them to be at a better place for learning. We want to help you figure out how to help them get the wiggles out. Regardless if they're kindergartners or seniors in high school, comprehensive school physical activity and different programs are really important to help them do that. We're going to start by talking today about active recess, classroom energizers, and indoor active recess. So what is active recess? Shape America recommends that schools provide 20 minutes of recess per day, yet up to 40% of U.S. school districts have reduced or eliminated recess in order to free up more time for core academics. And 1 in 4 elementary schools no longer provides recess at all. Research has shown, though, that recess really helps students to focus and learn better. So we know that scaling recess back to make time for academic subjects really comes at a cost to learning. When kids go outside for recess, we want to make sure that it's active recess. It could be structured or unstructured, but we want to make sure that they're really moving and they're burning some calories and not just standing around. Structured recess is an option, and it is more planned and actively supervised than traditional recess. In structured recess, students engage in organized play or games that emphasizes turn-taking, helpfulness, rule following, and emotional control. Each game or activity has preset rules by which the entire school population abides. Sometimes older students may be trained to help lead these activities for younger students. And the benefits of structured active recess includes reduced bullying, better behavior, and easier transitions from recess to learning. But really, while kids are at recess, regardless of if it's structured or not, the goal is to get all students moving and engaged. To do that, it's important that you have a good space that they can play in, that you have plenty of equipment, which we're going to talk about a little bit later, and that you have supervision to ensure that all students are safe. Another way to make sure that recess is more active than not is to advocate for recess before lunch. The research shows that kids tend to eat better lunch if they've already had time on the playground before eating lunch. It also leads to less waste from the cafeteria, better behavior, and performance. There are a lot of positives. The barriers around recess before lunch are logistical issues. We hear from a lot of schools that it's hard to schedule this so that every student in their school eats recess before they, or has recess before they come inside to eat lunch. But the reality is that lots of schools around the country have been able to overcome this logistical barrier very successfully and are reaping lots of benefits from this scheduling issue. If you're interested in learning more about active recess, check out some of our partners' information and resources. Kaboom, Peaceful Playgrounds, and Playworks are all resources that you can use to implement a more active and or structured recess for your school. Mount Herman Exceptional Student Center in Jacksonville, Florida has a really great success story around active recess. Through a grant provided by Action for Healthy Kids and funded by CSX Transportation, the school was able to add new playground equipment, which provided a way for all students to enjoy being outside and being active. Mount Herman is a special education school that celebrates the Special Olympics. And the grant contact at this school says there's increasing research on the positive effects of movement not only on the physical health of our bodies, but also on the cognitive development and functioning for people of all ages and abilities. The difference for our students is that the playground equipment we were able to provide allowed for safe and accessible places to play and move actively. Mount Herman was able to turn the play area into a welcoming, safe, and fun space that promotes outdoor exercise and physical activity during recess of all kinds. At the beginning of the school year, a group of school staff and volunteers worked tirelessly to install and construct the new play area. And as a finishing touch, they were able to landscape it, which really allowed for a really positive environment for their special education to get out and be active during the day. In fact, they were able to kick off their Special Olympics celebration at this school by doing a ribbon cutting for their new playground. Now, active recess is great, but what if you don't live in Jacksonville, Florida, where it might be warmer year-round than other places? You have to think about active indoor recess, too. How do you bring outdoor play inside when the weather turns bad? And probably it's best to create a school-wide plan or policy around indoor recess, because by the time the weather gets bad, you might not have time to think about it right then. So don't wait to plan. Although now it's February, so you've probably experienced a lot of this already. Indoor recess often takes place in confined spaces. When increasing activity during indoor recess, it's important to have structured activities that can help to ensure a safe environment that minimizes disruptions to other students. Students can engage in organized play or games that emphasize turn-taking, helpfulness, rule following, and emotional control. The goal of indoor recess is to get students moving and engaged while minimizing disruption to other classes since students are inside. But it is important to make sure that there is a plan in place for your school on what you will do if the weather turns bad and recess is not around. Let's get rid of turning on the movie or skipping recess altogether, because we know that getting kids active and moving is important for their learning, even if the weather is bad. So how do you implement indoor active recess? The equipment needs for indoor active recess, which are probably about the same as classroom energizers or brain breaks, are not that different. The only difference is the matter of selecting appropriate equipment that does not require much planning or prep time. We want this equipment to be very intuitive. Oftentimes for indoor recess or classroom brain breaks or Energizers, classroom teachers don't have the time to learn complex games or figure out how to use the equipment. They just want something easy to get kids moving. Some equipment ideas for indoor active recess or classroom brain breaks might be movement dice. Movement dice, you can either purchase large dice, which are shown in this photo here on this slide, or you can use small regular dice. Students pick an activity such as jumping jacks, then they roll the dice, and whatever number appears on the dice is the number of jumping jacks they must do. Another great idea are juggling scarves, which are light and easy to use in many settings. They keep those arms moving and help reactivate the brain in tight spaces. Another option could be classroom yoga cards. Consider purchasing a set of classroom yoga cards. Pick a card, do the yoga move with a group of students, and then once the students get good, they can lead the moves themselves. At Action for Healthy Kids, we like the card yoga for the classroom, and we'll include a resource for that on the follow-up email. Hotspot exercises are also a great idea. They can be purchased online or through physical education vendors such as US Games, and each set typically contains 12 quote-unquote spots that have an exercise on them. These spots can be used to help set up physical activity stations in a classroom or a small area, and they have a variety of exercises such as cardio, resistance training, and yoga. If your school has the resources, you might also consider creating indoor recess bags for each grade level or for lower elementary and upper elementary age students so that teachers can grab them on days when the weather is bad. We have lots of success stories at Action for Healthy Kids about indoor active recess. At Northfield Elementary School in Ellet City, Maryland, they have bad weather about 32% of the year. So 1 in every 3 days is a bad weather day. So they really wanted to make sure that they had a plan in place for how they would get kids moving when the weather was bad. So the Northfield Wellness Team created the Rockin' Road Runner Recess Program. Through a grant from Action for Healthy Kids and CSX Transportation, schools were able to purchase equipment and the school was able to purchase the equipment and materials needed to facilitate active indoor recess. Their supplies included Move Me kits, desk cycles, balance discs, balance boards, rubber band balls, and carts for transporting the items from each grade level. The Wellness Team also created a detailed action plan to outline the logistics of the program and developed an indoor active recess training for school staff. At Von Linné Elementary in Chicago, where there's also a lot of bad weather, they were able to create indoor recess grab bags. They included materials such as jump ropes, softballs, fitness DVDs, movement dice, and yoga cards so that the teachers had easy access to the equipment. To make sure teachers and students and staff were all confident and comfortable using the equipment, the PE teacher hosted a professional development teacher for all recess staff to help them with the importance of keeping kids active, demonstrate how to use the materials in each kit, and reviewed physical activities that worked well in small places. So indoor recess is a perfect precursor to classroom energizers, also known by a lot of other names, but most commonly brain breaks. Classroom energizers are breaks during classroom time that activate the brain, improve on-task behavior, and leave students more focused and ready to return to their academic activities. They can be as simple as a teacher or a student creating a simple stretch routine or leading a round of jumping jacks for the class. As I mentioned before, sometimes if you have a bad weather day for indoor recess, You can just implement your classroom energizers for more time or more frequently throughout the day if you're not going to be able to get outside for a formal recess. There are lots of fun and creative ways to include classroom activity breaks in a daily schedule, and there are lots of resources to help schools do that. Teachers can really make a difference by sharing their resources or their favorite classroom energizer with other teachers or administrators and talking to them about the importance of movement in the classroom as part of a comprehensive school physical activity. Usually what we see is one teacher in the school does it and catches on and has great success with it, and they can be the champion in leading other teachers in their building to do it. As I mentioned, there's lots of resources out there to help teachers easily implement classroom physical activity breaks. Some of those are listed here. Go Noodle is a great online free resource where you can show videos to your students to get them up and moving. Some of them are topic specific and they're very fun and a great resource. We've seen lots of schools around the country have great success with Go Noodle. Instant Recess was created by Dr. Tony Yancey at UCLA, and they're 10-minute breaks that are culturally or sports-focused videos that help kids get up and get moving. In addition, there's other resources such as Take a Break, Jam, which is just a minute, Yoga for Classrooms, Energizing Brain Breaks, Brain Gym, and Take 10. All great resources for you to explore if you're trying to implement classroom physical activity. When you're taking a brain break in your classroom, it's important to remember it doesn't have to be just a way to get the wiggles out. It could also be a yoga program that encourages mindfulness or breathing. There's a great example. Houston Independent School Districts in Texas is doing a lot of mindfulness training with their elementary schools there. And you can also make sure that your brain breaks are not actually breaks on the brain, but because you can incorporate content learning that encourages movement. So you can practice adding, you can spell spelling words while moving, you can take a walking meeting, you can do all kinds of things that allow students to still continue to focus on academics while also getting them up and getting them moving to re-energize those brains. Some other ideas for classroom-based energizers are listed here. You can do a fitness alarm, where your whole school, the bell rings, or a special bell that's not like your classroom changing bell. And when you hear that sound, you know that the whole school is supposed to get up and do a school-wide classroom physical activity break together. It may be led over the announcement system, or it may just be that the bell chimes during a certain point in the day, and all teachers make sure that their students stop, take a break, and do a movement then. You can do walk and talk breaks, which is where you have a meeting while you're walking. So you could take your students out to the track and ask them to walk around the track and practice spelling words together. You could ask them if they're learning a lesson on the iPad, they can go walk around the track and listen to the lesson at the same time while getting movement. You can do school-wide fitness breaks during morning announcements, which I'm going to tell you a little bit more about in the success story on the next slide. And it's important to remember that music is really key for school-based physical activity. It makes it fun. It makes students want to get involved. It makes adults want to get involved. And it really can change the atmosphere around classroom physical activity. So let me tell you a little bit more about Little Fort Elementary in Illinois. After the morning announcements play, a 5-minute song is played over the intercom system, and it motivates every single student and adult in the school to get up and boogie down. If you walk into Little Fort any day of the week, you'll find that after the morning announcements, that song is played over the intercom system, and students get up and really get boogieing. One student said, "I like brain breaks because it gives me a break and helps me relax my brain. It helps me think about what I'm going to do next. They're fun, and it gets me prepared for the day." Little Fort principal, Dr. Sharon LaVallette, even walks the hallways and pops into classrooms and joins in on the fun. Kindergarten teacher Becky Steele says, "We love it because it wakes our students up and readies them for the day." Students can even submit written song requests for their favorite songs to be played. And the principal, or the PE teacher, Mary Culver, has even implemented some dances like the wobble or the electric slide, where during PE she teaches the students all the moves, and then during morning announcements the whole school does the same physical activity movements together. What a fun program. So just a few tips to make sure that your classroom energizers or your indoor recess are really successful. Don't forget that adults or teachers in the room can and probably should participate too. These are opportunities for you to be a role model for your students on physical activity, and show them that it can be fun and should be something that's incorporated every day. It also allows you an opportunity to interact with students in a different way than you do throughout the normal school day, and can help you build relationships. Make sure you practice what you preach. Are you doing Energizers at your staff meetings? Maybe you can use that as a time to have each teacher take turns throughout the year demonstrating their favorite brain breaks, so that you can use a little bit of the train-the-trainer model, but also make sure that you're activating your staff's brains before they go into a long meeting or a long day. Start a video exercise library. So if you have a little bit of funding to purchase some brain break DVDs or some indoor recess DVDs or things like that, put them all in one place where teachers can access and share them. And make sure that you modify all activities so that you're inclusive of all students and they can participate. Another good way to practice what you preach is to host active events. Does your school's culture support an active lifestyle? School celebrations, rewards, fundraisers, and family events are all opportunities before, during, and after the school day to support and promote physical activity. We really have to start shifting the focus from food in this kind of event, and let students and families know that the physical activity culture of the school is valued and supported by school staff and parent groups that coordinate these types of activities. Host a family fun night devoted to recreation and physical activity. When it's holiday time, lose the sugary treats and turn on the music and host a dance party instead. Get rid of the cookie dough or junk food fundraisers and test out a jogathon or a hula hoop-a-thon instead. Action for Healthy Kids has lots of ideas and resources and tip sheets through our Action for Healthy Kids parent toolkit if you're interested in more ideas on how to get that done. Even if you're not a parent, if you're working in a school environment, these tip sheets and resources have great ideas for you. Speaking of out-of-school events or activities that involve physical activity, we're going to move on now to talk about walking and biking to school. So although students are on their way to school, we do still consider this part of a comprehensive school physical activity plan. And it's a really important part if you look at the data on the screen. In 1969, 48% of children aged 5 to 14 walked or biked to school. By 2009, that number had decreased to 13%, so over a 35% increase, or decrease, I'm sorry. And the reason that so many kids are now not walking or bicycling to school is that there are parent and community safety concerns about having kids on the sidewalk or walking a small distance to school. But really, walking and biking to school is a great option as long as you have adult and community support for it. Adults can have a big impact on walking and biking to school by looking at school schedules and policies and figuring out ways to incorporate programming that makes it safer for students to walk or bike. One idea is to start a walking school bus or bicycle train. A walking school bus is simply a group of students walking to school with one or more adult, quote-unquote, bus drivers. It can be as informal as two families taking turns walking their children to school, or a more formal, structured route with meeting points, a timetable, and a regularly rotating schedule of trained volunteer adults to lead the group. A variation is the bicycle train, in which adults supervise children riding their bikes to school. Other ideas for walk and bike to school initiatives include participating in the National Walk or Bike to School Day in October and May. It really helps build awareness in your community and helps your school organize walking and biking routes to school. Walk to School Day is held annually in October, and Bike to School Day is held annually in May. To start a walk or bike to school program, you need to implement a few things to make sure that safety concerns are addressed. Effective walk and bike to school programs are really address these issues by encouraging children to walk in groups and organizing responsible adults to accompany them, like the walking school bus or bicycle train that we just talked about, helping to ensure that students are taught safe pedestrian behaviors as they walk to and from school, making sure they look both ways, that they're not on their phone, that they walk to crosswalks, things like that. And then effective walk and bike to school programs also empower neighborhoods and local agencies to work together to identify and create safe routes to school and to partner with local police to enforce speeds in and around the neighborhood. Some schools even provide crossing guards for children on their way to and from school to help address safety concerns. If you're interested in learning more about walk and bike to school initiatives, check out the Kids Walk resources from the CDC, as well as Safe Routes to Schools National Partnership and the National Center for Safe Routes to School, which offer lots of great free online resources to support these types of programs in your communities. At Action for Healthy Kids, we've been able to work with lots of schools across the country to encourage more active transportation. One of which was West Jasper Elementary, which is located in Walker County, Alabama. Walker County, Alabama is ranked as the unhealthiest county for health outcomes in the whole state of Alabama. In order to promote active transportation as a way to increase daily physical activity for not just the students, but also the adults in the community, West Jasper Elementary participated in its hugely successful first walking school bus event during Action for Healthy Kids 2015 Every Kid Healthy Week. The walking school bus was a fun group event where children and adults in the community alike walked to school together on a predetermined route. The school is now hosting walking school buses, and it kicked off this initiative on National Walk to School Day in October. Because the school was so active in engaging the community with its efforts, the Walker County Health Action Partnership noticed the walking school bus program and has supported additional changes in the community. And these positive changes are not only affecting the students at Jasper, but also the adults. Mary Chesser, who is a school staff member at West Jasper, says, when students walk to school, they arrive energized and focused with their blood pumping and their brains fueled by the much-needed oxygen. I love that these physical activities go hand in hand with the nutrition education and the food that our school garden provides through their whole school wellness program. In a similar program in Norwich Elementary in Hillard, Ohio, they encourage students to walk to school, and for those that lived too far away to walk, they had a designated drop-off point 1 mile from the school, where instead of having parents drop off students at the entrance, they had parents drop off students at a designated point, and then they walk over in groups together to the school. They've also established 10 walking school bus programs so that kids can have a chance to walk together on days of their choosing. The Wellness Committee member, Mary Chase, said that would be really hard to stop these walking school buses now, as the kids love them so much. The kids are the biggest advocates for them. As you just heard in our success stories, it's really important to make sure that you get connected with potential partners in your community, in your state, and at the national level to help you ensure that you're encouraging physical activity across the board. And one of those great partners for Action for Healthy Kids nationally is Let's Move Active Schools. Let's Move Active Schools to ensure that we're working with a whole group of national partners to encourage comprehensive school physical activity and promoting the great program and great resources that they have available. I'm now going to turn it over to Pam Powers from Let's Move Active Schools, who's going to tell you a little bit more about the Let's Move Active Schools program and what it can do for your school.
Thank you, Hannah, so much. And thank you to Action for Healthy Kids for allowing us to have a few minutes to share more about Let's Move Active Schools. So let me get right into it, because I have a lot of great things I want to talk to you about, and based on what Hannah has said and all the great different programs she told you about that and how different schools have been incorporating those is really terrific and a great lead-in. Okay, Hannah, next slide. So let's talk a little bit first about this idea with Let's Move Active Schools, and really the point that Hannah was making about this is the idea of schools finding those physical education and physical activity minutes that add up to 60 minutes throughout the day. Okay, Hannah. And how we're doing this is through this national collaborative. So if you take a look at our next slide, which shows you this has grown over the 3 years that we've been active and combining all these different partners together to really look at how we can help to make kids more active. And, you know, one of those partners being Action for Healthy Kids, among the other 29 partners that were on the slide there. But we really look at this as being a solution. And what we do is help schools to get through this in 3 easy steps. So Hannah, if you'll go to the next slide for me. We have 3 different things we look at. It's evaluate, activate, and celebrate. And so within this, schools go online, sign their school up, and then take the assessment, which is from the School Health Index. There's 9 to 11 questions there that you answer that are all around and focused on physical education and physical activity. Once you do that, you put your action plan into place. So you look to see where your needs are at. It helps filter where you're doing really great, and then you start to work on it. You create this action plan. Once you've completed that, then it's time to go ahead and celebrate. Okay, Hannah, go ahead and go to the next slide. And we're going to talk a little more about celebrate in just a second. I want to tell you about the opportunities that come to a school, and lots of great reasons to enroll in Let's Move Active Schools, which is focused around quite a bit in our grants and promotions. So here's one opportunity in the enrollment side, which is a couple of different grants that are open currently right now for you, the promotions. And so there are certain promotions that you're entitled to once you sign up and you fill out the assessment. Then there are other things that open up to you also by completing one of your action steps. And so you have these opportunities when you sign up and enroll your school to be able to become open to grant opportunities, as well as also different equipment and other events that are going on. Okay, Hannah, go to the next slide for me. So I mentioned grants. There are 3 different grants right now that are available. One is through to help get students walking and running, and that one is due by February 5th. And then the second one is USA Track and Field, the Run, Jump, and Throw grants. The other that we have, which is really exciting, is an ongoing one that helps you get equipment. And Hannah was talking quite a bit about, you know, different equipment needs that a school might have. This is a great place to go to apply for an equipment grant. It's opened all year round. Good Sports helps you find those balls that you might need. And you basically write a wish list of what it is you really are looking for and what your school needs. Okay, Hannah, go ahead and go to the next slide. So there are two different places, right? We have these progress incentives that I had mentioned, and these come in a quarterly basis. So as a school makes progress on their assessment, this is where those will come in. So there's gift cards, there's all sorts of activity packs, there's different professional training and different things that are awarded through that. The other one we have are discounts. And so in this side, we have some really great companies and supporters that have offered up some terrific discounts for services and products that they provide. And so this is a really cool opportunity for schools as well. Go ahead and go to the next slide. So I mentioned before about that the last part is to celebrate. So coming up right now, we have the National Award. We have a number of schools that have gone through, they've done the assessment, and they're ready to apply for the National Award. And so that process is going on right now. This is an award that awards top physical education, physical activity distinctions for schools K through 12. And what's terrific about this is where you celebrate. We've gotten those 60 minutes a day. We've expanded on what we're doing, and it really is about a community effort. And this is where Hannah had talked about, this is a model and a picture of comprehensive school physical activity. This is all the people involved, and these are all the places that you're looking to get those 60 minutes a day. And also along with that, as Hannah had mentioned, right, quality physical education. And that's why we have it there in the red for you. But this is a celebration among all these areas finding that 60 minutes a day. There are several things that you get in your award package, such as a really terrific banner. You also get a certificate. You get a letter saying how well you've done and congratulations from the First Lady. This is part of her initiative that she started back in her celebration in Chicago. And we also have a whole promotional kit we provide you. So you get that media exposure, you get that word out, so that you get this domino effect that starts to happen around you and in your community. And I've included here at the last part the website and where you can go to find out more information, to get your schools enrolled, and to sign up. I want to also mention that if you sign up saying that you heard about it through Action for Healthy Kids, it is one of your choices on the list. And one of our greatest collaborations with them have been their grant opportunities that schools get. And so they have, as Hannah had mentioned, and she gave you a demonstration of all the different places across the United States where they're really making a big impact. And so through this collaborative, this is really a great opportunity for us to help support your work that you do with Action for Healthy Kids. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Hannah and see if there's any questions for us.
Thank you, Pam. We're going to go through a little bit more information here, and then we'll come back to questions at the very end. But Let's Move Back to Schools is a great resource to make sure that your comprehensive school physical activity program is moving along, utilizing the resources and the tools that they have, and then a great opportunity to be celebrated for all the work that you're doing around physical activity as well. Another really great way to ensure that your comprehensive school physical activity plan is moving forward and is sustainable is by working on your wellness policy and making sure that you're writing changes into your wellness policy, school guidelines, and school improvement plans that support your physical activity initiatives. To do that, you're going to want to research state and local laws to find out what is required in your state related to physical activities and find out how your school or district is implementing them. Most of you are saying, I don't know how to research state or local laws around physical activity. Well, the good news is that there is a great resource called the Shape of the Nation report that is hosted by Shape America that gives you the opportunity to quickly and easily learn about state requirements related to both PE and physical activity in your state. Once you know about what's happening at the state level, get involved with your wellness policy. Attend a school board meeting or an accountability or a school wellness team meeting to find out what your policy really means and how it's being implemented. Review your district wellness policy and any school guidelines you have around it so that you can understand what is already there and see if it matches what's happening at your school or if your school is doing more than the policy requires or less than the policy requires. Draft your school's comprehensive school physical activity plan and really put on paper all of the things that you're already doing for school wellness and all of the school physical activity and school wellness and all of the things you would like to add to make it more comprehensive. And then think about adding physical activity goals to your school's improvement plans. All of these things are things that you can do to look at and ensure that your wellness policy is matching your school's culture and goals around physical activity. Here are some ideas of what you could write in your wellness policy or could see in your wellness policy that would support your comprehensive school physical activity plan. A written PE curriculum aligning with national and state PE standards is used for grades K through 12. All K-8 students will receive 20 minutes of daily recess. Your policy may or may not address at the moment the number of minutes of physical activity per week, per grade, or the qualifications of your physical education teacher. It may or may not currently promote active transport or that teachers will implement classroom energizers or brain breaks. These are all important pieces of a policy to have things in writing to ensure that people are following your comprehensive school physical activity plan. Other ideas are for policy language can be ensuring that physical activity is not given out as punishment or will not be withheld for missing various different work. So your school wellness policy is a great place to start if you're interested in learning more about comprehensive physical activity in your school and seeing if what's on paper matches what you're doing or want to do. It's always important when we're talking about physical activity to make sure that we're thinking about inclusivity. We really want to make sure that all children with special needs, along with typically developing children, can participate side by side. We heard a great story earlier from Mount Hermon Exceptional School in Jacksonville, Florida, where they have really modified equipment and activities to ensure that all students can join in. If you're looking for more resources on how to make your programs more inclusive, you can check out the information listed on the tips and resources listed on the screen here from Shape America, the National Center on Health, Physical Education, and Disability, and then Action for Healthy Kids' own Game On program. While we're talking about Game On, when you're working through your school health and wellness program, you're going to really want to make sure that you're using a school health framework or umbrella that increases your chances for sustainability. You want to make sure that individual projects focusing on health, wellness, physical activity, or nutrition are not floating out there on their own, but are part of a larger ongoing initiative. Establish a wellness committee and use it to drive and promote your initiative. And you can use the Game On framework as a good start. This tested free online program is Action for Healthy Kids' way of helping make sure that your school health and wellness program is tailored to your own particular needs and addresses volunteer and student engagement while you're at it. So check it out. Much like the Let's Move Active Schools Certification Award, we would encourage you at your school to take an award certification program like the Healthier U.S. Schools Challenge. It's a process of evaluating your school's overall wellness environment, including your physical activity efforts, which can help serve as a catalyst for new initiatives and help you become a nationally health certified school. If you're spending time and energy focusing on your wellness culture and identity in your school, it's a great next step for being celebrated for the work that you're doing. If you want to learn more about the research related to the importance of physical activity in schools, check out Action for Healthy Kids report, The Learning Connection, to see it all in one place. And if you're looking for resources to help support your comprehensive school physical activity grant, you are in luck. Action for Healthy Kids 2016-2017 school year grants are opening next week, February 8th, and will be open through the beginning of April. So check out the resources on our Action for Healthy Kids grant page to learn more about the eligibility of your state. And look what we've done. We've reached many schools in many states and many students with lots of money, resulting in lots of new minutes of physical activity. So check out our resources and see how we can help your program today. Heidi, we have just a few minutes for questions. Do we have any?
We do. I'll first start with a question for Pam. So Pam, there was a question from someone around if schools have completed another assessment, such as the Alliance for Healthier Generations Healthy Schools program assessment, is there a way to meet this evaluate and activate criteria for Let's Move Active Schools?
That's a great question. Yes. So if your school has completed the assessment through the Alliance for Healthier Generation, actually there's a connection with Let's Move Active Schools. So the piece within the Alliance for Healthier Generation is the physical education and physical activity portion, which a school, if you're working on the Alliance's award, you can actually qualify for Let's Move Active Schools within that. So what you would do is you would be working with a program manager very possibly, but also with within the site itself. If you log in on the side with Let's Move Active Schools, on the website that I gave you, and it will use the same exact login that you've been using. So if you've already completed your work with the Alliance, you can definitely move anything over to the Let's Move Active School side, and anyone within our help area will assist you with that if you have any trouble.
Great. Thanks, Pam. Hannah, do we have room or time for another
One
question?
more question, yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. So we've had some questions come in around resources for middle and high school students. So can you share some resources both related to before and after school programs that are great for middle or high school, or any electronic resources that are good for high school students?
Yes. So through our Game On program at Action for Healthy Kids, our program is K-12, and we have over 85 Eat Better, Move More challenges there that have lots of information that's appropriate for middle and high school students. And we're also getting ready to integrate some student engagement information there too. The most important thing to keep in mind with middle and high school students is that you want to engage them in your comprehensive school physical activity plan as you're pulling it together. Listen to their voices, see what they need, see how they can support the program that you have to make sure that you're meeting their needs and keeping it fun and interesting for them along the way.
Great. Thank you.
Unfortunately, we've reached the end of our time today, so I want to thank Pam Powers from Let's Move Active Schools and Heidi Milby from Action for Healthy Kids for the support today. And I wanted to encourage all of you to follow up Action for Healthy Kids on social media. We have Facebook, YouTube, Pinterest, and Twitter, as well as Instagram, to stay up to date on our success stories, tips, resources, volunteer opportunities, and lots of other ideas for action. And as always, Connect with us through the Every Kid Healthy Pledge. It takes 10 seconds to give us your information. Become a member of our Action for Healthy Kids database so that you receive all of our school programs, tools, resources, and school grant information. Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope that you enjoyed the webinar. We will send a follow-up email tomorrow with connections to all of the resources that we talked about today and more information for you to sort through as you work to implement comprehensive school physical activity programs in your school. And we look forward to hearing your success stories and working with you in the future. Have a great day.